Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having a pretty good night. I'm having a pretty good night, I guess. Elections are in about 40 days, so everybody's a little nervous. But anyway, just to get people a little, you know, focused on something else, today I wanted to make for you this Ligurian savory pumpkin tart. I make this every single fall. The minute I see these beautiful these are called, these are my favorite pumpkins to cook with. These are, well, they call them cheese pumpkins. I'm not sure why they actually call them that, but I think it might be because they sort of look like the color of cheese. So you see they're tan, right? Okay, so this particular dish I'm making today is really interesting because what it is a really savory pumpkin dish. And I have to say, I'm not really crazy about really sweet pumpkin pies. I don't really like the whole pumpkin spice thing that much, and I don't really like pumpkin with sugar all that much. I have no idea why. But I really, really like savory pumpkin things, like pumpkin ravioli, and this thing in particular, it's a savory pumpkin torta from Liguria, and they make it every fall when the pumpkins come in season. And I think it's actually used. It's a dish for a festival in Liguria, and I believe the town that the festival in is, oh God, let me remember this. I think it's Monilia. That might not be quite right, but I think that's about what it is. And when I found out about this pumpkin torta, I don't know, 5 years ago, I knew I had to try it. And it's got like parmesan in it, it's got herbs, it's got ricotta, it's completely savory. Okay, so the first thing what I did was I hacked off a piece of this beautiful cheese pumpkin and I roasted it. So, I hope it's gonna come out okay. So here it is. Oh, hi, there's Tiny. Oh, hi, Tiny. So what I did was I roasted it. I wrapped it in tin foil, and oh yeah, that looks pretty good. And I threw a little olive oil in it and a little bit of salt and pepper. Wow, look at the water comes off. Actually, the reason I like this particular pumpkin so much is that it's not that watery. It's not as watery as the orange ones. So what I want to do here is, okay, see how nice this looks? It's all like soft. You want to scoop all this. Uh-oh, look who's here, Tiny Tine. Oh, Tiny, come on. Maybe you have to go. Oh, say hello to Tiny. There's the pumpkin, and then that's the end of it. Goodbye. So I'm going to scoop out. See, look at this. This is really nicely cooked. And this is really, really delicious pumpkin because it's not very sweet. It's a little bit on the, like, almost salty side. So I'm going to scoop out about, I think I'm going to need for this particular torta, maybe about, that looks about right. I'm thinking like 2 cups of this. Yeah, okay. That looks about right. Okay, so let's get rid of this over here. Put that out of the way. And I'm going to make this filling in the cuisinart because frankly, it's actually so easy to do this. So I'm going to just dump that in. And now it gets a little bit of ricotta. I don't really measure things that much for this. That looks about right to me. And then it gets some, this is a mixture of grana padano and parmesan because that's what I had. And that looks, thinking maybe a cup. That looks about a cup, right? Does that look like a cup to you? Okay. And now these are not pumpkin pie spices. This is just nutmeg. No cinnamon in this. So put a little of that in. That looks about right, yeah. Okay, and a little sale, and a little bit of black pepper. Yeah. And what else goes in this? Oh, herbs. You know what? I don't usually put this in, but for some reason I want to go like super savory today, so I'm gonna put a little Aleppo in here, which is good. And okay, so let's go with this, and then we'll add other stuff. So just give it a couple of pulses. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now I want to add a couple of eggs, because you want this thing not to just, you know, stay together when you cook it. So put those in there. So 2 nice brown eggs, large eggs, and don't overwork it. So just give it a couple pulses. Okay, that looks good. All right, so now what I want to do is dump it back in here. Look at the color, it's almost the same color as the, well, I didn't plan this, but it's the same color as the bowl. So get this out, and now what I want to do is just set this aside for a minute. That's good. Okay. Okay. And what I want to do is to give this a little more savoriness, is to throw a little shallot in it, but I don't want to throw in raw shallot, so I'm just gonna saute a little of the shallot up in some olive oil and then like dump it on top. And this is probably enough. I mean, you know, it's funny about fall. I don't really love fall cooking that much. I don't know why. I guess I get so sad when the tomatoes and basil go away. But, I don't know, this makes me happy, I have to say. I mean, I'm really not a pumpkin pie person, but when you put Parmesan in it, you know, I'll eat it. Okay, so over here, what I'm going to do is just throw a little olive oil. That's actually a lot of olive oil, but that's okay. And then just sort of take the edge off these shallots. You know, I mean, it's not like you really need to just sweat them out a bit, just for a minute or so. Okay. Okay, so we'll let that go. And, oh, yes. It's a really beautiful night. I mean, it's like, tonight it's like 80 degrees, and I can't believe it. It's almost October, and it's almost the election, and this might be the last really nice night we have, so I'm making this for you guys. See, I don't really need it to go that much further. And what I want to do here is to make sure you get all the savory shallot goodness. Just add a little bit of booze. So I'm just doing a little dry vermouth. Yeah. And that way you'll get up all the, whoa, this is really sparking. You'll get up all the little good bits on the side. Oh, don't worry about that, not a problem. In fact, it's a beautiful thing. Maybe we should turn this, okay, that's good. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this over and add this to the pumpkin mixture. See, look at that. Okay. All right. So now the only thing we left, what I usually do is I put pine nuts in it, because a lot of the recipes I've looked at for this thing, they're all different. Some of them use pine nuts, some of them use no nuts, some of them use pecorino, which I nixed. I thought that was too strong. Some of them use garlic, which I also don't want, because I like the softness with pumpkin of the shallot. So I'm just going to throw a bunch of these lightly toasted pine nuts. And since it's Liguria, and one of Liguria's favorite herbs is marjoram, I'm going to use some marjoram, which I happen to have in my garden right now. And it's really one of my favorite beautiful herbs. It smells like perfume. Some people think it smells like floor wax, but I think it smells beautiful. So I'm gonna do a little of that, and and that's what they would usually use in Liguria, and that looks about right? Yeah. Yeah. You don't want too much because it's odd. It's related to oregano, which is very very much stronger in smell. But like when you use a lot of marjoram, it could be quite overpowering. So I'm just not going to use that much. But what I am going to do is, because I love this with pumpkin, I'm going to throw a little bit of sage in too, and maybe just, I think does that look like right? That looks about enough, right? Okay, so let's just chop this up. Okay, and then we pretty much got our filling. Okay, put that in there, and let's give it a, ooh, this is very soft. Ooh, I hope this sets up. I think it will, because we got eggs in it. Seems softer than last time I made it. But look at that color, isn't that beautiful? All right, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just give this a taste, just to make sure it has enough salt in it. Oh my God, it's really good. Could use a little more salt. Okay, wait, a little more salt. Maybe a little bit more parmesan too. You have to really taste as you go, you know? I mean, you can follow a recipe, but I mean, not that I ever do, but I mean, that definitely needed something salty in it. And so you got the cheese and a little more salt, and I'm thinking a little more pepper. So that should do it. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, let's give it a minute taste. Oh yeah, that's just what it needed. Okay, so let's set this aside for a bit. And we're gonna roll out the dough. So let me get a paper towel and clean this off. So you can make this with a regular butter short pastry, which a lot of the recipes I've seen for this used. But in Genoa and Liguria, a lot of times for savory torta, they use an olive oil crust, which is actually what I made. And the beauty of this thing is that, okay, first of all, it's got olive oil in it. You don't even have to flour the counter or anything. There. And what this is, all this is regular flour, olive oil, a little bit of dry vermouth, the same thing I used to deglaze the shallots with, and a little bit of salt, and what else? That's it. So, see, look how easy, this stuff is unbelievable. It's so easy to work with. So I'm just gonna roll this out. I mean, you don't have to worry, look, it comes right up. Look, see, it's like a Play-Doh, silly putty or whatever. Okay. Okay. Whoops. So, you have any questions? No? Okay. I wish you did. I mean, the thing is, I'm not gonna blind bake this, because when you blind bake olive oil dough, it just shrinks up. There's like nothing you can do to save it from shrinking up into the pan. So, I mean,
what's blind baking?
A blind baking is when if you have like a short crust with a butter or something, or lard, what you want to do is like put it in the pan and then put some kind of weights inside it, and then giving it putting it in the oven before you put the filling in. So that way you're gonna start browning the pastry, so it doesn't get all soggy on the bottom. But I find with this stuff that it just doesn't even get that soggy. I mean, it's just a beauty thing. So that looks about right. But I'm not gonna do this with this. Okay, so I've got a nice tart pan, like a removable bottom tart pan. I put a little bit of olive oil in it. Actually, frankly, you don't even have to do that. And so we'll just do this, drape this in. See, it's like rubberized, right? It's really good. Okay. All right. So, yeah. So I'm doing that. Okay, and here we got our filling. You know what I'm going to do, though? Just to ensure that it doesn't get soggy on the bottom, just put a little bit of grated cheese. Sometimes I put ground nuts on the bottom also, but this will be nice. Okay, so then we put this in. Wow, look at that, beautiful. Total slimy. It is slimy, but in a good way. I think we eyeballed that amount like perfect. Okay, so, and for the top, I usually use some breadcrumbs. You don't even have to do this, but a lot of the recipes I looked at online, and when I was in Liguria, I asked around, and usually there's some breadcrumbs on top. I only happen to have panko today, but they're fine. I usually make my own breadcrumbs, whatever. And so I'm just gonna do that, and that'll do the trick, just to give it a little crispiness. And I'm thinking maybe just so that breadcrumbs don't burn, I'll use a little olive oil on top, just a drizzle. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so the only thing we have to do now is to trim the tart. So I'm just gonna, I like my tarts a little on the rustic side, as you can see. So I'm just kind of trimming so it's kind of funky, like that. Because otherwise, see, it's kind of going into the pan already. See? I'm just gonna do it that way. Oh no, I already love the way this looks. Look at the colors. Okay. All right, so we're good. Oh, you know what though? I do have why not do a little egg wash just to brown up the sides. Okay, so we're ready. So I'm gonna stick this in the oven. Oh my God, it was just a little thing that got away from me. I'm gonna stick in the oven. It's about 400 degrees. And the thing is, what I like to do when I'm making a torta like this that's not blind baked is stick it right on the bottom shelf, really close to the bottom of the oven. That way, it'll brown up the bottom very quickly and prevent it from being too soft on the bottom. So we're gonna wait. I'm thinking it's gonna take about maybe a half hour at 400, 35 minutes. But anyway, I'll get back to you and you can see what it looks like when I take it out. It's been about 35 minutes, I guess. So let's take a look and see what we got in here. And it looks good. It looks nice and brown. Actually, that looks really good. It's nice and puffy and it's firm. I'm gonna take it out. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when you touch it, if it's just mushy, you want to leave it in a little longer. But this looks actually very nice. Look at that, that looks good. And you know what it might need? You have to let these things sit about 20 minutes before you cut into them, just so they firm up. But I'm thinking it could use a little bit of, I like garnishing it with a little bit more herbs, so I'm gonna go around and do that. And then, you can eat this, what do you think? Sage?
Yeah.
Sage would be good, right? Yeah. Just a little sage.
That would be a sage choice.
Okay, and maybe a little more of the marjoram. Okay. So you can eat this warm, not like boiling hot right from the oven, because it really needs to settle so you can really, cut it nicely. But this is great. Okay, it's totally beautiful. And I would say eat this as an antipasto kind of thing, or you can have it with like a salad for a dinner or a lunch. And beauty, I would say whatever it is, it's fab, or breakfast, even with breakfast with a glass of of wine. Why not? Okay, so I hope you guys make this, and happy fall to everybody.